Seeing money spent on your own brand name inside of your Google Ads campaigns is a common frustration which business owners will give to their Google Ads manager, or even if they're running their campaigns themselves, they'll really get angry that this is happening. Now, don't get me wrong, I completely understand this point of view, but I want you to stick with me because in this video, I want to take you through why a brand campaign can be a core part of your Google Ads strategy. I do want to make it really clear that spending money on your brand name should not be the core part of your account spend. And it should definitely be under 20%, but in reality, it should be lower at around about 10 to 15% of your total account spend. Before we get into the exact strategies that you need to be implementing in order to get the most success and profit out of your brand campaigns, I do want to take you through 3 reasons why you should actually be targeting branded searches inside of your Google Ads campaign. And the first and the biggest reason is that paid ads actually appear above organic results in a Google search. When it comes to the order of how Google structures its search results, is that at the top of the page, you'll have up to 4 paid ad listings. If the search also appears in a search which could be associated with an e-commerce product purchase, you'll also see the shopping feed at the top or over to the side. And then underneath those ads, you can also get different map listings or different Google review functions. So what that then means is that even if you've got the #1 organic listing, your #1 organic position may actually appear below the fold, meaning that if the user is on a mobile phone or on a desktop, they actually have to scroll down in order to see that #1 result. While we would all agree that having the goal of obtaining or attaining the #1 SEO rank for your business is a really important goal to achieve, you do need to also understand that just by having the #1 organic rank does not mean that you're going to get every single click that comes through on the searches. And in fact, the amount of clicks that you get on that #1 position is a lot lower than what many businesses think. Data released by SEMrush showed that over the last 12 months, if you had the #1 organic rank, that listing would only get you 22.4% of traffic clicks, with having the #2 position going down to 13% and position #3 going down to 10%. So even if you do have the #1 organic rank, don't think that you do not need to have paid Google Ads, because what will happen a lot is that if your competitors don't yet have that #1 organic rank, they will revert to a paid ads campaign, which means that even if you've got the #1 rank, that their listing could be appearing above yours inside of the Google Ads search results. And then that point then feeds into the second reason for why you should be running a branded campaign in your Google Ads account, is because a branded campaign is the best defensive strategy that you can have inside of Google Ads. And what I mean by that is that if you were to run a competitor campaign, so that you were to go and actively bid on your competitors' brand names, that is what I would call an aggressive campaign, where you're aggressively going out there to try and get some extra market share. But if you're established in your marketplace, the roles can actually be reversed in that you've got competitors or new entries coming into the market that are trying to steal your market share. And a branded campaign is the best defense from new competitors or startups trying to come in and take some of your market share. And the beauty about a brand campaign is that you will generally have a lower cost per click. And the reason for that is because if someone is searching your actual brand name, you're going to have a really high keyword quality score, usually 10 out of 10, and you'll also have a much higher ad relevancy because your landing page is the actual website. It's going to be much more relevant than your competitors. So you won't be having to pay as much in order to protect your brand as competitors are going to have to pay to try and move in on your market share. And then the third reason for why you should be running a branded campaign in your total Google Ads strategy for 2024 is that the main reason for why someone may be searching your brand is because they've seen some of your previous ads. And this is especially true if you're running any top of funnel or outreach campaigns, or if you're running any Performance Max campaigns. Users may have seen your display ads or your YouTube ads, and then they've come back and done a brand search in order to get some more information and complete the sale. I don't know about your search habits, but I know for me, generally what I'll do is that if I go through and look at a product or look at a service, I won't buy straight away. A lot of times I'll come back 2-3 weeks later, complete brand search or a product name search, and then I'll go back and complete the sale. So what you do need to remember that especially if you're doing a lot of top of funnel or outreach work inside of not only your paid campaigns, but any social media campaigns, yes, people may be completing a brand search, but they may not be a loyal customer and they may not be really familiar with your brand. They're just searching it because they've seen other ads. So that's where you really want to make sure that you're appearing at the top of the results so that they've got the options then either click on your paid ad or go to that #1 organic listing. But what you definitely do not want to see happen is that someone has completed your brand name search and then they click on your competitor's ad because you don't have that branded campaign. So by having a branded campaign, you are making sure that you're always appearing at the top of the results when people complete that search. And the last thing that you want to see happen is that you've done all of that hard lead up work and they complete a branded search and then you lose that click and that sale because the user cannot easily find your website. All right, so now that we've got all of that established about why you should be running branded campaigns in Google Ads, I want to now take you through the best structure that you need to be using for your branded campaigns. But to make sure that you're also optimizing not only your branded campaigns, but any other campaigns that you're running inside of your Google Ads account the right way, I want to give you free access to my Google Ads optimization checklists. And these are checklists which take you through not only all of the different optimization actions that you need to be completing, but it also lets you know whether you need to complete that action every week, every month, or every 90 days. And I've got these checklists for both e-commerce brands and also service-based businesses. And if you want to access those checklists, just follow that link in the description below. All right, so now let's get into the structure that you need to be using for your branded campaigns. And the first thing that you want to make sure is that you are using your brand name as a negative keyword for all of your other campaigns. So if you're going to set aside a branded campaign, what you need to make sure is that you have added your brand as a negative keyword to any other search campaigns that you're running. And if you're also running Performance Max, you need to go into your Performance Max campaign settings and add your brand to the brand exclusion list. And then that makes sure that all of your spending goes into the set aside branded campaign. Remember, as we said, that way you can better control your spending and make sure that you're only spending the amount that you're comfortable with for your branded campaign, whether it be 10% of your total budget or whatever that number is. The second thing is that you want to be using exact match targeting only. This is an important step because by using exact match targeting, what that is really making sure is that if someone searches your brand name, we want to really make sure that the search term that is triggered comes from your branded campaign. And if you've got an exact match keyword, that is going to take preference over any other Performance Max campaigns. As I said in the point before, I'm recommending that you're adding your brand to that brand exclusion list, but by adding in that exact match targeting, it's also making sure that that search takes the precedence. The other reason for why exact match is important is because what you do want to make sure is that you're not picking up any of those similar or related search terms. You're really just focusing on brand name searches. But what you will need to do is you will need to still do some regular search term audits just to weed out any user search terms that have triggered your ads that are not related to your brand. This won't happen as much inside of a brand campaign, but because Google has updated their match types and they're continuing to update their match types, you may see some other traffic filter through. So just make sure you complete those search term audits so you can build out your negative keyword lists. The third thing that you want to be doing inside of your branded campaigns so that you can get the highest level of success is that you want to really focus on your brand in your ad copy. The way that I do this is that I make sure and I pin in my #1 headline, I make sure that that is always my brand name. So if someone's searching my brand, I want to make sure that the first headline that they see is my actual brand name. And then I also make sure in that first description that I set in my ad copy that it's also heavily brand name focused. Now, what you do need to remember, because they've already searched your brand, you don't need to oversell in your ad copy. So what you want to do is you want to make sure it's really focused, that they can very clearly see that it's your brand. And then what I include in the other headlines and the other description markers is I'm putting in my core products or my most popular services, and then any sales or different promotions that I'm running right at that particular time. So I want you just to think about it like this, is that you're running your brand name with any sales and then your main marketing messages. All right, number 4, the fourth thing that you want to focus on in your branded campaigns is you want to take full advantage of your ad assets, especially your site link extensions. Now, it goes without saying that you should be using all of the available ad assets for any type of Google Ads search campaign. So everything from your site links through to call outs, through to location extensions, all of those different ad assets should be used as best practice. But inside of a brand campaign, your site links become even more important. And the reason for that is because what you can also use your site links for is you can also look to highlight any new products that the user may not be aware of, or any underselling products that you want to put more focus on. Because people are actually coming in from a branded search, you know you've got a better chance of already attracting that click. What you can do is that you can really use this as a chance for you to also advertise a product or a service that that person may not know that you have. And this is the great thing about site links, is that not only do you have the headline there, but you can also add in those extra lines where you can really get into some extra information about what that product or service is. So when it comes to my site links for my branded campaign, because it'll generally show 4 different site links, I really reserve 2 of those for my best-selling products or best-selling services or a promotion that we have. And then I allot 2 of those site links for some new services or new products or different areas about my business that users may not be aware of. All right, and now it comes to the 5th and final step that you need to be really putting into place so that you can have success with your branded campaigns inside of Google Ads. And this comes down to your bidding strategy. And I highly recommend that you run a target impression share bidding strategy. And the reason for that is because you may remember early in the video where I was explaining that one of the main things in a branded campaign is you want this to be a defensive strategy. So you really want to stop other competitors coming in and targeting your brand. And with a target impression share, what you can do is you can set what your goal placement is. So whether you want to appear anywhere on the page, top of the page or absolute top, your intended impression share, and then your CPC limits. And let me show you the best settings that I'd recommend for setting your target impression share. So when you're in your campaign, go into your campaign settings, and then you want to go into your bidding. And when you're in the bidding section, as we said, we want to go over to impression share. And these are the options that you have. For a branded campaign, what I would be recommending is that you're actually going for the absolute top of results page. So the difference between the top of results page, that's going to get you anywhere between position 1 to position 4, but we're really going after that absolute top of results. Now, the reason for why I do that for a branded campaign is because for me, if we're going to spend the money, we really want to make sure that we are really reinforcing that we own this keyword theme of our own brand. So we want that number 1 position. And I also am pretty aggressive with my impression share, and I put a 90% impression share. Now with your CPC bid limit, what I would generally do is if you're running other search campaigns, because this is likely to be a little bit less, as we said, because you're going to have such a high ad relevancy and keyword quality score. If your CPC for your other search campaigns is at $2, I would set my CPC bid limit at $2. If the average CPC was $1.50, I'd put it at $1.50. If it was at $4, I'd put it at $4. I think you get what I mean there. So that's the way that I would go through and set up my bidding strategy for our branded campaign. Thank you for joining me. My name is Aaron Young from Define Digital Academy. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And remember, if you want to get access to my Google Ads optimization checklists, just follow that link in the description below. And if you also want to learn the best way to set up your competitor campaigns, I want you to go through and watch this video right here. See you next time.